Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I probably look a little different to you right now. I'm filming on Halloween and I am dressed up as Daphne from Scooby-Doo. Anyone else a Scooby-Doo fan here? Because I'm a huge one. And today I'm just going to be sharing the books that I read this month. This was a pretty disappointing month. I didn't read quite as much because I was gone 1 week of the month on a much anticipated trip, so I couldn't read really during that trip because it was just like go, 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 go. Even some of the books I did read, there were only a few that I really loved and most of them were not so good. I actually had a couple DNFs, which is pretty unusual, so we'll get into that. The first book is Brooklyn on Fire by Lawrence H. Levy. This is a historical fiction mystery. It is not cozy. Please note, not cozy. This is the second in the Mary Hanley mystery series, so I believe the first one was called like On 2nd Street Station, something like that. I'll put a picture on the screen. And I read that a few months back and I did like it. I gave it like 3.5 stars. The main reason I didn't rate it higher was because there was just something about like the way the action scenes were written that just really like kept throwing me like out of the reading experience. Like I would read them and then I would just like they were written kind of awkwardly in my opinion. But I liked the characters and I thought the mystery in the first one was good, so I wanted to try book 2 just to see if that improved at all and just to see if maybe, you know, maybe it got better, you know? Sometimes it happens. Like the first book, if I like most of it, I'll read the second one just to see if maybe they kind of worked on whatever it was that I didn't like as much about the first book. Anyways, unfortunately this was a DNF. I did not like this. I think I got about 60-70 pages in, so it's a little less than like a quarter of the way into the book. I just could not for the life of me get myself engaged with the story. I still thought the main character Mary was a very interesting character, especially for her time. I thought she was feisty. I thought she was, you know, interesting. I liked her. I liked the general idea of the plot, but there just was something that I just could not get myself to really like get into the writing. I tried, I really did, but for some reason this just isn't my writing style, I guess. I'm just not gelling with it, and I was just having a really hard time getting myself to read this, so I tried for a few nights, but for me it's like especially in a more like fast-paced or, you know, engaging genre like mysteries or thrillers, if I'm not getting hooked on it within the first, you know, like quarter of the book, like I'm just having a hard time getting myself interested in the plot, then to me that's kind of a red flag. I feel like I should be fairly engaged because there's a mystery, so there's like an automatic curiosity I should be having, and I just didn't care. Like I tried, I really did. But this just wasn't it for me. I don't think it's a bad book. I mean, none of the books I dislike I would ever say they're bad, but this just wasn't it for me. I just couldn't get myself to really engage with it and really love it as much as I wanted to, so I'm gonna go ahead and I DNF'd this, and I'm also just gonna stop this series because it just clearly isn't quite what I'm looking for. So, unfortunately. I hate DNFing books, but there's so many good books that I want to read that I don't want to, you know, waste too much time on a book if it's just not working for me. Let me know, are you someone who DNFs frequently, or are you someone who kind of will force yourself to keep reading just to see if it gets better? Let me know which camp you fall into with that. Now, a historical fiction mystery that did not disappoint me this month that I really, really enjoyed and I'm so excited to read the next books in the series for is Butcher, Baker, Candlestick, Taker. This is book 1 of the Spokane Clock Mysteries. It's written by Patricia Meredith. In full disclosure, the author did offer to send me these books, just knowing that I'm a big fan of historical and like cozy mysteries, and I took her up on it because that is my type of book, and I'm really pleased to say that I did truly love this book. The writing style of this book, it's beautiful. It's really flowy and descriptive. You truly feel like you are walking the streets of Spokane, and I was fully immersed in this. I'm actually really, really impressed too because this actually, as it says, has 6 intersecting storylines that create this like cohesive mystery, and to me at least that's a lot of storylines. That's a lot to keep track of, and I was a little concerned going in that it would be hard to follow all of the storylines of the characters, but they were woven together really beautifully. It was very easy to keep track of it within like the first, I don't know, 40 or so pages. Like I was having a good time keeping up with everyone, and all of the characters were really beautifully written. They all had fleshed out like motivations and storylines and histories. The mystery itself was really engaging. So the way it's described here by the quote on the back, a vivid and intense historical thriller featuring murder and mystery, mayhem and madness. I'm not sure if I would describe it quite as a thriller. I mean, you know, to me it's like more of a classic murder mystery, but you know, to each their own. Basically, this story centers around a man named Archie Prescott who is traveling to Spokane, Washington to work on this unique clock tower, and he's like an inventor. He's very excited, and he actually ends up meeting up with this patroness who is offering to sponsor his work and other projects, so he's very, very excited until that woman is found dead, which sets off this whole slew of events. So some of the storylines feature some of the people like in her that work like in her home. Some of them are like kind of unrelated characters that are within the town. One of them is Archie himself. Some of them are the detectives. This was just really interesting, and I'm very excited because she did send me the whole series. So we have the next one, which is Cupboards All Bared here, and then this one just came out in October, which is Crazy Maids in a Row. So I'm really excited. So thank you again for sending these to me because I really truly enjoyed the first one. I'd give it like a really strong like 4.5 stars. Like I really could not put it down. Last night was when I finished it, and I was sitting there so tired after a really long day, but I read over 100 pages in one sitting because I had to know. It was really good. So I'm truly so excited for these. So if you're looking for historical fiction, I would recommend these. I thought were really good. I would probably skip the Mary Hanley mystery series if you tend to have similar tastes to myself, just because the writing style I just had a really hard time getting into. But this one, I was immersed within the first few pages. It was very interesting. So super excited about that. Let's go ahead and move on to a thriller. So one of the thrillers I read this month, checked out from my library, is called The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. And I'm really disappointed in this. I don't know what it was this month. I just had like the worst luck overall. The Hunting Party basically takes place with this group of friends who every like New Year's Eve, like around that time, they will all get together. They were like college friends, and they will get together and go on this like lavish trip and everything together and like really do it up, celebrate it, the pretty hard partiers and all of that stuff, as Lucy Foley's characters tend to be. And the premise is really great. They're in this like isolated area. They're snowed in. They do some hunting and stuff while they're out there, thus the title, The Hunting Party. I did finish this book. However, I didn't love it like the other Lucy Foley thrillers I read. I loved The Guest List and I loved The Paris Apartment. I think I gave them 4 and 5 stars respectively. So I had really high hopes for The Hunting Party because this would be my third Lucy Foley. And this, it didn't deliver. The characters I wasn't as interested in. I will say in general with Lucy Foley's work, her characters overall are pretty unlikable. Like, she really does not hold back on making them not just deeply flawed, but like a lot of them have like these horrible pasts or like terrible things. Like, there's a lot of drama in her books, which can be very entertaining, especially for a thriller. But usually I'm at least invested in a few of the characters and like want them to kind of succeed and like make it out safely. But this one I was like, I don't care about any of these people. I really don't. So I just wasn't engaged with any of the characters. I found some of the plot points to be very obvious. Now, to be fair, this was a book that I think it came out in 2019, whereas The Guest List and The Paris Apartment I think came out within the last like 2 years. So maybe, you know, maybe this is just her growing as a writer over the years, but I was so disappointed. One of them goes missing, and I feel so bad for the person that goes missing because I feel like out of everyone they deserved it the least, and I was just so upset. I don't know. Let me know if you read The Hunting Party and you've read other Lucy Foley works. What were your thoughts? Did you like it as much as the other one? Like, did you like it more than the other one? I would love to hear your thoughts, but for me, I had a harder time. I didn't find it as thrilling as the other ones. I was definitely struggling to kind of page turn. There were parts of it that were definitely very page turning, but compared to The Guest List and The Paris Apartment, which I could not put down, like I read those within like 1 to 2 days because they were so thrilling. Like, I had to know what was happening. But The Hunting Party, I read it over like 4 days. I wasn't really feeling this like urgency to read it. And when I pick up a thriller, I really want to be extremely like like, I don't want to put it down, I just want to be sucked into it, and I just didn't get that with this. So that was my thoughts on The Hunting Party, unfortunately. A book that did not disappoint, and I would be floored if it did because I love this series so much, is called A Cup of Holiday Fear by Ellie Alexander. This is part of the Bake Shop Mystery series, which takes place in Ashland, Oregon, and it features our main character, Jules, short for Juliet. There's a lot of Shakespeare themes throughout the town. Basically, Jules works with her mother in the family bake shop called Tort. It is a delightful cozy mystery series. I could not recommend it enough. This one was just as good as the other ones. It had all of the Christmas vibes. What I remember from it is that there was this really themed out Christmas feast that was being held at like a local hotel, and unfortunately the hotel, this is going to be their last year doing it because they're looking at being bought out, and the parents are looking at selling, and like the son is really upset about that because he thought he would inherit the place, and the person who's going to be buying the place seems to be pretty awful. Like, they're really jerks to everyone. They don't seem like they value what the family has like valued and put into their business over all these years. It's kind of a strange setup, but basically at the feast someone dies, and it's kind of a closed mystery for the most part because, you know, everyone's there with the feast, so you kind of would guess, you know, it's someone there. So Jules is on the case. She's trying to keep the other guests calm and trying to figure out what happened. There's a lot of different drama and like intermingling storylines. It was really good. I really enjoyed this. If you're looking for a Christmas cozy, I mean, I would recommend, if you can, starting from the beginning with the Bake Shop Mysteries, because although you can read them out of order, I feel like the characters' storylines and stuff really develop over time, so I feel like you'd miss that a little bit. But if you do want a Christmas cozy and you're okay with that, I would recommend this. It was just perfect Christmas vibes. I love Lance, who is Jules' friend. He is the most like theatrical character. He's like a theater director, so he's very theatrical. He always adds all this like fun and stuff to the mysteries, so I could not recommend this one enough. That was just a delight, and it really put me in the holiday spirit, which I love. So that one was a good 4 or 5 star read for me. Really enjoyed it. A book that really disappointed me. This was the 5th and the last in a cozy mystery series, and I was excited for it. It's called All Sales Final by Josie Bell, who is better known as Jen McKinley. That's one of her pen names. I love Jen McKinley. You guys know I love the Library Lovers mystery series, the Cupcake Bakery mystery series. I would wholeheartedly recommend those. But this series is part of the Goodbye Girls mystery series. I think it came out before those series, and it's not quite as good. And I didn't like it as much as the other 2 series, even with the earlier books, but this finale to the series, I just was so let down. I feel like this cozy mystery, it features our main character. She's getting ready for her wedding, and of course you would expect there to be some mention of wedding stuff and different, you know, wedding planning and all that. This book was consumed, I felt like, with wedding planning, and the mystery felt like it was on the back burner. And I feel like, you know, a cozy mystery should be character driven. There should be some like really interesting character moments, slice of life moments, but it was so dominated by like kind of things that weren't relevant to the mystery whatsoever. I felt like the mystery wasn't a big deal at all. It kind of, some parts of it, I don't want to give any spoilers, but some parts of it really kind of felt like it threw the world building that had been previously done. It didn't feel like it was consistent. I just felt really let down. The mystery wasn't that interesting. The mystery was like on the back burner compared to the rest of the stuff, and it just felt more like almost like a romance novel with a little mystery splashed in. And it's, you know, it's targeted as a cozy mystery, so, you know, there can be some romance in it, but it should be predominantly, in my opinion, featuring the mystery. So I was just kind of let down. I wouldn't not recommend this series. I liked some of the earlier books better, but it's not my favorite. If you're looking for a cozy mystery series from this author, I would go with her pen name Jen McKinley and pick some of those up because I really enjoy those. Like, those are consistently 4 and 5 star reads for me, but these were anywhere from like 3.5 to like 2.5, so not quite as good in my opinion. I did like the Goodbye Girls theme, which is basically this group of friends who are like major like sales and clearance shoppers and like help each other get goodbyes, literally. And at the end of each one, instead of recipes like the Cupcake Bakery mystery series, they do like a different tips from each of the friends for different things, which I think is really cool. So I liked the theme. I just felt like it didn't really deliver with the mysteries as much. It was also quite a bit cornier, I would say, the series overall than her other series. It's not that the other series don't have humorous moments in them, they do, but this was like very corny, which just depending on what you like, you know, you might like that, which if you do, you might really like the series, but for me it was a little bit too much. So this one, I think I gave it like 2 stars on Goodreads, which I feel bad, but it wasn't my cup of tea. I just really wasn't that interested. I did finish it just hoping it would get better because, you know, I'm attached to the characters. By the time I'm on book 5, I'm definitely attached to the characters, but I just can't really endorse it. It wasn't a really great book in my opinion. Something that I loved this month was the Marple collection. So this featured different short stories by modern day writers, but it all featured Agatha Christie's famous Miss Marple character. So these were like written in like a, you know, reimagined sense. So they're not written by Agatha Christie, they are written by today's authors, and they had some really good ones. They had Ruth Ware, who wrote one, and that was probably one of my favorites. I did really like her book One by One. I'm looking to read more by her in the near future, but I really liked her short story in this, and I would say overall this was a really great short story collection. I'm not always the biggest on short stories, but this was a solid collection. They all felt very much like authentically Miss Marple, like it felt true to the Agatha Christie style writing. The mysteries were all very interesting and varied. There was one where Miss Marple goes to New York, which I thought was really interesting to see, like the kind of culture shock and everything between her, you know, English background and like the New York setting. I thought that was super interesting. There was one that took place with like a Christmas party. There was one with like a jewel heist. I mean, there was just so many varied types of mysteries in this because it was a short story collection, so you got some really interesting fun settings and themes and stuff. So I would definitely recommend this if you like Agatha Christie, if you like cozy mysteries, Miss Marple, if you like short stories. This was a really great collection. I gave it like a strong 5 stars. Really fun, really interesting, definitely worthwhile read in my opinion. So the next one is also a second book in a series for me. It's actually book 3 in the series, but I had to skip book 1 because my library didn't have it. But this is called The Diva Paints the Town. This is by Krista Davis. It's part of the Domestic Diva series. So I originally read The Diva Takes the Cake, which was set during like her sister's wedding. And overall, I really liked it. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. It wasn't like my all-time favorite, but I did like it. I really love Krista Davis's pen and ink mystery series. I've read all 4 in this series so far, and this one is excellent. So if you're looking for something by Krista Davis, this is the one I would recommend. But The Diva Paints the Town, it was kind of disappointing to me. It featured a really interesting premise. Basically, one of her neighbors is found dead. He's like I think he was a pretty elderly man. He's found dead in his home. He was pretty much a recluse, so people didn't find him for a while. The main character and some other people in her circle who are like interior decorators, homemakers, designers, that sort of like thing, are kind of redecorating different parts of his room for like this contest or something. They're kind of like making them each room like a different theme and stuff, and it was like an interesting premise, but this book focused so heavily on the interior design details and not really the mystery that I felt I was just kind of bored. I ended up DNFing it. I just couldn't get into it. I don't know if it was just me this month, but clearly I was having a hard time getting into some of these books, and even some of the ones that I finished, like The Hunting Party, I just wasn't really satisfied with, and yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping November's going to be a better reading month. I didn't read as much this month, certainly, as well, just because of the busyness from my trip and everything. So I'm hoping this coming month will be better. I have some really great books lined up for this next month. I hope you guys had a better reading month than me. Let me know down below in the comments what books you read this month. Did you like them? Would you recommend them? Did you have any DNFs or not so good reads that you wouldn't recommend? Let me know in the comments down below. I love hearing your recommendations. And yeah, so I wish I had like a more positive ending, but I would recommend the Marple collection, definitely. I really love the Spokane Clock Mystery series that I started. That was a really good read, really, really interesting. And then The Cup of Holiday Fear by Ellie Alexander. Like I said, The Bake Shop Mystery, it's one of my favorites. Really, really recommend that series. So those were like the big hits this month for me, but otherwise it was kind of a little bit of a lousy reading month for me. So we're gonna cross our fingers, knock on some wood that next month is better. I'm looking forward to some Christmas videos in the future, so definitely hit subscribe if you like cozy mysteries, if you like mysteries in general. I do tons of mystery, thriller, cozy reads content on my channel, so if you like that kind of thing, I hope you'll hit subscribe. Thank you guys so much for 1,000 subscribers. That just means the world to me. I was so excited to see that I hit that this month, so thank you so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!